Well, the most common thing I've seen besides the changes in the functionality of the brain, and I take 3 brain supplements. I'm not taking any chances. So the other thing that you see, of course, is you see a change in hormones. And the other thing you see is a change in the feel-good chemicals, serotonin and dopamine. So over time, all of this diminishes. All of it just goes down the tubes, basically. So you have options of supplements, and you have options of hoping for the best, and I would not pick hoping for the best. So let me know if you have a question, send me an email, give me a quick call, send me a text, and I will explain this to you, and I'll point you to any one of a number of referrals, depending on what your situation is.
Our brain, boy, we need to keep that functional. That's huge.
It's everything.
It is. Everything. Now, if we really want to improve our romance, how can we think about our own life experiences and use that as a guide to help out with a new partner?
Well, if you are a safe thinking person, safety conscious, a planner, an organizer, then it's easy for you to look at the last 6 relationships you've had and avoid the things that didn't work there by being really, really honest with yourself. But if you're very emotional, it's going to be very difficult for you to be practical and rational. And it's going to be difficult for you to even see what went sideways in those relationships. And so depending on the combination of brain wiring and brain chemistry, you may or may not be capable. That's why people work with me, because they're not able to have these things clear to them. They need somebody to explain it to them. They need somebody to figure it out with them or for them, and then explain to them what to do. And it's really crucial, because if you're not with somebody who's monogamous, it's because the person is not active enough in that lower left green quadrant, or you don't care about monogamy. So you got to be very clear. If you don't care about it, that's great, but then you sure don't want to blame him or her for not being that thing that they can't be. And if you're bored in your relationship, then it's probably because that person's not that lower right, passionate, exciting, scintillating, charismatic. That all fits in the lower right. And if you are just so bored with this person needing to be with you all the time, well, then it's because you are that upper right brain, I want freedom, I want autonomy person, and your partner isn't. So something's got to give, and one of you or both of you has to do a lot of compromising. That's just the way it is if you want a partner.
Well, what's wonderful is that this gives you clarity of what you're really dealing with. That's
right. You can stop telling yourself stories.
Yes.
It's all going to be fine tomorrow. He's going to wake up and he's going to realize. No, nobody wakes up and realizes, except hopefully us. When we wake up and we realize, then we've got a chance.
Now let's explore. What about the difference between how a relationship begins and how it continues? Is there a way to identify the concerns before they rock the boat?
Oh, yes, there is. So my dear friend Frank Zizzo was a clinical psychologist. Used to say, the way a relationship begins is the way it ends. And what he meant is, if you look back, as I said to one of my clients today, I said, if you look back, you'll notice that either you had this conversation with him and you weren't able to resolve it, and for whatever reason you didn't call me and ask me to work on it with you, or you didn't communicate with him clearly enough and in sufficient depth to find out that this was always an issue. And on top of it, sounds like you didn't logically analyze the kind of family he comes from and the way his mother behaves and the way his father behaves, because if you had done that, there's a high probability you would have realized who he was and what his preferences are. So we have all these different choices to make about how to communicate with people, that we're going to become intimate with and stay with. And mostly, if you don't have these tools and skills, you're going to miss your opportunity.
So research of the person.
Absolutely. But you have to understand what it means. I mean, you know, if I say, well, didn't you understand that her parents didn't go to college? And she was the first member of her family ever to go to college. And now you're angry because she doesn't read books and you read 3 books a week. Yet where would she ever have seen adults reading books while they have a job and while they have children, unless she had a very, very unusual family where they were self-taught, self-educated, but that's a very rare thing. So understanding what you're getting yourself into is really important, because then if you want a long-term relationship, you're not going to be horrified and shocked. You're not going to have that look.
I feel like reading a book right now. No.
At least one.
Oh, I know. I usually have 3 different ones going, Susan, to tell you the
Exactly.
truth.
Exactly. Yes, me too.
And so therefore, when this boat is rocking and it looks like the relationship is going to end, what are the options with your Heartspace skills?
Make peace with the 6-part conversation. Calm yourself down before speaking. That's self-empathy, because nobody's listening to us when we're not calm. Then empathize with your partner. Calm your partner down. Guess what your partner is feeling and needing, because nobody's going to listen to you if he's not calm or she's not calm. Then, and only then, communicate about what you've been feeling and you've been needing in a way that your partner can hear it, and that means your needs words are always positive words. That's self-expression. Then if it's a really, really, really complicated thing, you have to use part 4 and 5. Otherwise, part 6, through requests and offers, a solution is found. Now, through requests and offers might look like, since we've agreed that we're so different, then if we're going to stay together, it sounds as if each one of us is going to have to make some substantive compromises. Whether it's we do the things that one of us likes on every odd weekend, and we do the thing that the other one likes on every even weekend, or some way that more of your needs are met and more of my needs are met. Otherwise, it looks to me as if we're going to have this same conversation in 2 weeks or a month. What do you think? And then you'll listen while your partner speaks. You give empathy to your partner for what he or she is feeling and needing. And then you float another potential solution, and that's how you get to it. And we've got lots of videos about this on my YouTube channel. You see lots of them.
And what a time saver that is, really. That instead of having those old things keep coming up. So.
And you never have to fight with anybody again, unless you want to.
Oh, no.
But they may like it. We don't know.
Oh, there you go.
Other people, you know, have different, everybody's not just like us, right?
That's right.
So Gigi and I, you know, Gigi even more than I, will never ever have a fight. She won't fight to a fault. And I never bother to fight. So I can't be bothered. It isn't worth it. And if you're finding that you're fighting in your life, it's taking time off of your lifespan. So you really don't want to do this. It's so much easier to spend the time learning the 6-part conversation, which requires time and study, and then have a life that's wonderful.
And be careful with the words that you speak, right? That's huge. Now, I'm really excited, Susan. You picked out a clip for us this evening. Please tell us about this.
I did. So this clip is about intimate relationships. It's a little bit more about intimacy. So it's on the topic that we're addressing tonight. Enjoy. So make sure you're looking for somebody who really has the interests and the attributes you're looking for. And a photo's important. If that person doesn't turn you on, then this is not who your potential husband or wife is going to be. This is a hot date. So the first thing you want to look at is for someone who's hot. And It doesn't have to be a neuroscientist. It doesn't have to be a nuclear physicist. It doesn't have to be a CFO. This is a hot date for Valentine's Day, right? So please focus on that. And look at the profile, and I recommend doing a green highlight for what you love and a red highlight for what you dislike. And the profiles need to have mostly green and almost no red. And when you've got 10 of those, then you're ready to go to the next step. Well, first of all, the 3-paragraph rule that I invented years and years and years ago is about the first paragraph being about them, the reader. Because if they're not interested in what you have to say, they're not reading to the second paragraph. And they're sure not going to get to the third paragraph. So the first paragraph basically, and I just wrote a bunch of these in the last couple of days, I use the person's username, dear username. I was so interested to see that you have a love for XYZ and that you have a career that allows you to utilize your love of art. Let's say if she's an art curator, whatever it is. So make a first sentence that is all about her needs and how she meets her needs in her life in a wonderful way. And it could be her energy, it could be her family, it could be her hobbies, it could be her career, it doesn't matter. And then let the second sentence, still in the first paragraph, do the same thing. And it was wonderful to read how happy and joyous you are and that your daughter means so much to you and that you've been able to carve out a career where you have a lot of flexibility. So you're proving in the first paragraph, which is no more than 2 sentences, that you actually read her profile. Not that you're sending out the same email to 53 women or men hoping that somebody's dumb enough not to realize, because they realize. So once you do that, then the second paragraph is all about you. I am also excited by art, and I have an extensive art collection. My favorite artists are so-and-so and so-and-so, and I look forward to hearing your preferences. And then I have X number of children, or I have no children, and children are very important to me, whatever it is. But again, you're connecting in such a way, and then something that's just about you. So this is like baiting the hook and throwing it into the lake. The third point is whatever it is you're interested in that maybe didn't show up in this woman or man's profile. Then you have paragraph 3, the call to action, as in any good sales letter. And the call to action is what you want them to do. So I'm hopeful that you've enjoyed reading my profile and that you would like to speak. And if so, please let me know and I will send you my cell number. And then thank you or warm regards, and then your username or your real name. Simple, right?
Yes, that's perfect.
Very specific. It really works. All the people that work with me privately and, work a lot and very hard, and the ones who are in fantastic relationships, they did exactly this. And if you have a question about it, give me a call.
Now, this is a really nice question. How different is romance for older people, perhaps in the 60s and the 70s and beyond?
Well, nowadays with Viagra and pumps and everything else, it's not different. So if you're hoping it's going to be different, if you're expecting it's going to be different, and you're a lady in your 60s, 70s, 80s, I have bad news. If you're a guy that age and you're afraid that it's going to be different than it was when you were younger, I have good news. So it all depends on where you're sitting on the seesaw, right? So nowadays, couples can have the most wonderful intimacy, the most fabulous sex. They can really have a new lease on life. And one of my dear friends who passed away a couple of years ago, who was a lot older than me, the second marriage was so passionate that she just couldn't believe it. And she was just saying, I can't believe this, I can't believe this. And for years and years and years, they had an incredible marriage and were, in their 70s and early 80s.
And men can go on and on into their up to 100, right?
Yeah, as long as, there are different strategies for different men with different health issues. So again, call me for a consultation. I'll send you the referral depending on what you tell me about your health. Yeah.
Exciting. Now, in this dance of romance, you say that a new relationship is a way you can totally change your life. And how does that work out?
Well, my first husband and I remained friendly after we divorced. And he would say to me, you should go out because all it takes is one drink to fall in love. And by that he meant, you go to a restaurant, you sit at the bar, like go to Brophy's. I just met my dear friend Jeff at Brophy's. And he had been at Brophy's for lunch, and then I met him later for happy hour, and we were eating, we were having dinner, and it was fabulous. And I said, so did you meet anyone today? And he said, no, but I'm sure if I hung out longer, I would, because that's Brophy's. You keep going back, you'll find somebody terrific. So you don't have to just stick with online dating. I'm saying if you really want a relationship soon, the best thing that I advise people do is all of the above. Because at some point, an online connection is going to turn into a real life date. At some point, you will be sitting either across the table from them or across the something from them, and you're going to need to have the skills to communicate with them. And you won't be able to read the script I wrote you, so you have to memorize it. And so go out with friends, meet people, go to restaurants, go to bars, go dancing, whatever it is you enjoy doing. Get out there, go to meetups. That's a very safe, easy way. And then also do your online work so that you get a whole group of people, like a revolving door, until you find the one you want.
Like next.
Exactly, yeah, like create a speed dating environment in your life. You don't need an organization to do it. You can be your own speed dating person.
Fun. Now, when someone is looking for a new relationship, your advice is to be totally specific and focusing on the key attributes that you are essential to, that are essential to you. And please describe this to us.
Well, you and only you know what's really important. When clients send me their list, and a client sent me a list yesterday, a new client list yesterday, and we'd worked on it in one of the sessions, so the list was pretty good. And then I looked at it and I said, now here's what's the next step. You're going to read this list out loud every night in bed before you turn out the light. And obviously if you're alone in bed, if you have a sleepover date, you're not doing it that night. And so you're going to read this out loud and read it as if you're speaking to God. God, please send me my perfect partner. She is, or he is, right? And you will know when you get to something that you don't believe is possible. You will know. So if you said that the person has to have a net worth of $500,000 and you don't have any assets or a fraction of those assets, and you've never met anyone with $500,000 in assets, then the odds are that doesn't belong on your list and you need to take it off. Just as if you're looking for a new job, you don't say to yourself, I want a job and my salary is $500,000 gross per year when you're currently earning $75,000 gross per year. So you have to be rational and practical along with everything else. And just delete those and replace them with attributes that you believe are possible, that are doable, or if you have more than 50, then you can leave it. You read this aloud every single night. You focus on it. You intend it. You go to sleep dreaming about it. You wake up in the morning thinking about it, and you will be surprised at who comes across your path. Because what we know about the brain is the brain does not process all the information that it takes in. So it takes in an enormous amount of data with your eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and touch. but it doesn't process it unless you're saying, bring me my perfect partner, God, please, who is, and then the list, then your brain's going to start looking for that and bringing it to you.
That law of attraction.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. And what a wonderful way to have great dreams.
Yes, yes, really fun dreams.
Now, I know that you also teach the tantric lock, the skills that, as you describe, as creating the deepest level of intimacy. And so what is the secret to this type of intimacy?
What's so interesting about monogamy is, yes, you have to have the right kind of brain that enjoys monogamy. Some people would call it monotonous, some people call it monogamy. And truly, it's the same thing. I just said to a client tonight, you understand that if you do marry, given that I know who she is and I know what she wants, can you have sex with only this person for the next 60 years of your life? Think about it now, I said to her, because you don't want to get a divorce. And obviously we thought about all the other parts of the marriage, but this is very key. Can you have sex with only this person? If you're with the right person, it's a pleasure. If you're with the wrong person, it's unpaid prostitution. It's a nightmare. So think about it carefully. Now, there's the whole intimacy piece. The tantric lock is based on both. By mastering the 6-part conversation, you master the ability to deeply and intimately connect. That means that whatever needs to be accomplished sexually, you can accomplish because A, you both have the language skills, and if you don't have the sexual skills, it's easy enough to get. There's so much information at your fingertips, and again, if you need me to advise you on certain things to buy and watch, please let me know. So the tantric lock is creating that intimacy that's like this, where there's no room for a third partner. There's no room or desire or need that isn't met in the relationship. It's like you and your best friend, who's also you and your favorite lover. But that's what's required. It's not optional. If you go into a wedding, and I perform marriages, I perform weddings. If you go into a wedding and you don't already have this, you're going to be calling me to mediate your divorce, which I don't want. I would prefer to just get you married and have you really happy. But you've got to be able to think this through now before the wedding, because it's a lot more complicated if you think about it later down the road. I can help you with reconciliation. Again, I prefer not to have to.
What a wonderful way of really being able to help people merge in a way that's fulfilling for both people.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And I know that over time, isn't it challenging to keep this going, because infertility is the #1 cause of divorce, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's really challenging, but the good news is it's doable. So we've all known it's challenging, those of us like Gigi and me, we've been divorced, but it's doable. It's doable if you use your brain the way you need to use your brain, and build the brain that you need to have, and make sure you've got the brain chemistry you need, and make sure you're in a state of positive expectation and belief most of each day. And making that all happen means that you can have a fabulous, fabulous lifelong marriage with the right partner.
It sounds so exciting. Now, when clients work at these skills and they maintain that connection and the empathy, they need to create that tantric lock. Can this really work out for decades?
Yes, but it isn't going to work out for decades unless you really work on yourself. And this is the part that people don't understand, because very rarely do I find two partners who are both visionaries enough to be committed to working on themselves and their relationship. That is in visionaries. That's the upper right behavior. And rarely do I find both partners when they are both emotional, romantic, passionate enough. That's the lower right. And rarely do I find couples where they are both lower left, where monogamy lives. And somebody's got to earn a living in this wonderful, happy couple. So somebody's got to be sufficiently upper left brain to earn a living and pay the bills, right? So this is all about developing your brain. This show, we're calling it The Dance of Romance, which is a fabulous title that Gigi came up with. It's just that the truth is, you're not dancing anywhere if you don't build your brain, if you don't improve your brain. Maybe you'll do a couple of steps, but if you really want to be, in Dancing with the Stars, you've got to have a fabulous ability to dance and dance and dance and dance. And that means a brain, in this case, that will take you through the dance and the romance and keep you there.
Nice. Now, what about the visionary upper right brain people who you say can be very challenging for marriage? Is there a way to make that romance last forever?
Well, if you're in love with one of those people, you have a job on your hands, because usually they're like herding cats. And I can tell you, because I was a great cat herder, and it is really exhausting. It is exhausting, because the sad part is, it's not that like they're running off to somebody better than you. Usually they're running off because they don't do intimacy very well, or they don't enjoy a lot of emotional connection. They may love sex, but they don't like a lot of emotional connection. They'd rather be sitting at the pool or the lake or the ocean or in nature somewhere. So don't take it personally. And you hope to God that that person is already that way plus monogamous, because otherwise then it's going to be you chase him or her and they're gone. And you chase him or her again and they're gone. And you chase him or her again and they're gone. And sadly, that describes, one of the people in my life. And it's very exhausting, frustrating, infuriating, aggravating, and really painful. So think twice about that. If you have a choice, you don't want to do it.
Now, is there ever an end to romance when clients really have all the Heartspace skills?
No, absolutely not. Unless something terrible happens to your partner, and therefore something terrible happens to their brain. As long as you can keep your brain at its optimum level, and I'm telling you, my brain is so much better now at my age than it was at any other time in my life. I can't even believe it. When I think, and I mean, how I got through school, I don't know, because I was never able to pay attention for more than 5 minutes, probably closer to a minute. And yeah, you come back to the teacher and you come back to the teacher, but all that time while you're dreaming about something that's not going to help you in your life, you've lost momentum. But when you have a brain that really functions, which I now do, and you can be peaceful and you can be happy and you can be busy and you can work hard and you can plan and organize yourself for your goals, and you can do goal-reaching skills, and you can have six-part conversations with people. It is a joy. And so you never fight with anybody, you never get disgusted with anybody and have it last. You never walk out, you never hang up, none of that. None of that is necessary. You don't become an addict to anything. You're able to control yourself. Why? Because that all is what your brain does. That lives in your brain, the ability to behave and function in a positive way. It's a brain thing.
How wonderful. Thank you for inspiring everybody to have the ability to learn the skills to be at their highest potential self.
Thank you. Yes. That's it. That's what we want, right?
That's
it. What we want. Thanks.
Well, I'm just saying thank you to Susan for letting us understand how to create romance and how to maintain it for a lifetime. And remember, all of you, that Susan does offer that gift of 1 hour telephone consultation so that you can indeed understand how to create the dance of romance and make it last. Even with yourself, huh?
That's right. That's right. That sounds like the next show.
I know, perfect.
That's the next show.
Want to dance? Okay, well, now I'm going to reflect on Susan Allan's column, Ask the Love and Relationship Coach, right here in the Santa Barbara Family Life magazine. This is available online, www.sbfamilylife.com. Great information in there. I just love getting that. It goes off the newsstands really quickly, by the way.
I know, we found one at Fiesta like the day before. It was
We're
great.
lucky. Grab it quick. And Susan's new website, www.heartspacesolutions.com. And Susan, her email, susan@susanallan.org. And for that hot, free 1 hour, 805-695-8405. Susan's YouTube, youtube.com/SusanAllan2001. And
Thank you.
now